If you want to become a physical therapist, the absolute most important step as you decide to jump into this career is to shadow a physical therapist. And in this video, we'll cover everything you need to know about shadowing and how to make the most of your experience. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Tim Fraticelli. I'm a physical therapist with PT Progress, and I make videos about all things physical therapy to help you make progress toward your goals. And if your goal is to become a physical therapist, you absolutely need to shadow a PT. Shadowing a physical therapist simply means that you have followed a PT to see what their job is like. And when you shadow someone in the medical world, your job is to observe the environment, to ask questions at the appropriate time, and to be honest with yourself about whether or not the career is something that you want to pursue. A lot of physical therapy schools will require a certain number of shadowing hours, but many programs don't require any shadowing hours, which I think is a huge mistake. You're about to spend 3 years and thousands of dollars to become a physical therapist. The least you can do is to shadow a PT or even multiple PTs for at least 100 to 200 hours. Even if you think you're 100% set on the career, do yourself a favor and put the time in to shadow multiple PTs in different settings, just to get a feel for the career. Actually, I recommend that you not only shadow a PT, but also shadow other related careers like sports medicine physicians, a PA or physician's assistant, even orthopedic surgeons, or a PM&R doc. PM&R stands for Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, and it's a specialty in medicine that focuses on the musculoskeletal system, helping patients recover through additional medical treatments and advanced therapy. I'm not trying to convince you to not be a physical therapist, but you might find that another career in medicine aligns better with your personality or your interests and your goals, but it could actually reinforce that physical therapy is the right career for you as well. But you owe it to yourself either way to explore multiple careers and to shadow PTs in multiple settings. So one of the things I love most about physical therapy is the ability to specialize in over a dozen different areas without really having to spend multiple years in residency. After you complete your 3-year DPT following your undergrad, you can work in almost any setting, from the most common outpatient clinic to a hospital setting, also called an inpatient setting, or even the home health setting where you provide physical therapy in people's homes. Other settings include pediatric PT clinics, neurological focus clinics, skilled nursing facilities, schools, gyms, corporate settings, sports teams, and even the military. While it's possible to shadow a PT in all of these settings, I think you should start with shadowing hours at your local outpatient clinic and even at the rehab department at your local hospital. This is going to give you a good idea of the most common settings for physical therapists, but if you're interested in other unique PT jobs, just reach out to people in the field and ask if you can shadow them. And if you can't shadow them in person, then they may be willing to jump on a call or even answer a few questions for you via email. Speaking of questions, when you start to shadow, asking the right questions at the right time is going to be a really important part of your education. First off, people have asked me, well, how do I even ask to shadow a PT? Well, you simply ask in person or on the phone or by email and say something like, "Hi, I'm considering physical therapy school and I wondered if I could shadow a PT in the clinic." And that's pretty much it. The clinic will likely have a policy about students, and they may have you complete a form or certain screening processes or tests before you begin shadowing, especially if you approach a hospital organization about shadowing, but it's really as simple as that. Now, once you're approved to shadow a PT, make sure you arrive prepared. And by prepared, I mean you should show up early and be ready to ask questions at the right time. The PT that you shadow may be really busy that day, and they may have very little time to chat, but they may also ask you about your goals and your experiences with physical therapy while they're in the middle of a patient's treatment. So just be ready to provide a concise answer to those questions, always being observant of the situation to make sure that you're not over talking or taking over a patient's treatment time with your life story. So when I have a student shadowing me in the clinic, I will make sure that the patient is okay with having a student follow for the session, and most of the time that patient is okay with that, and the student will just follow aside and stand next to us. They'll be present, standing in the room next to me or other physical therapists or the patient, just observing the treatment. They're not expected to lead any treatments or exercises, but you are expected to pay attention. And that means that you shouldn't be on your phone and you shouldn't be daydreaming. Just be in the moment and take notes in a small notebook. I made notes of different patients that we treated each day from those with a total knee replacement to pediatric cases and even high school athletes with ACL repairs, all of the above. And it was just helpful to make note of different cases that I experienced, because your PT school application, they may ask you to list out all of the hours that you spent in various settings or experiences with different patient groups. And if you spend each day a few minutes just writing down the types of patients that you worked with for the day, it's going to make that part of your application much easier. Now, it is okay, and it's even recommended that you ask questions while you're shadowing, as long as you're not interrupting the patient's treatment or making the session all about you. Just be aware of the environment and how many questions you're asking, and write them down in your notebook, because you may be able to look them up after the session as well, especially if they're questions about injuries or surgeries. And if you have the opportunity to talk with one of the PTs one-on-one, ask them questions like this. What advice do you have for someone who's interested in pursuing physical therapy as a career? Or if you could do it again, would you pick PT, or would you consider another field in medicine or something altogether different? Here's another question you might ask. I noticed that you worked on this today during the last treatment. Is this a common approach for that type of injury or surgery? You want a mix of these questions to learn about the career and the treatment provided that day, and also to show the PT that you're interested in the field. So by asking good questions and paying attention and acting with professionalism, being courteous to those who are in the clinic, you should have no problems asking the PT for a letter of recommendation, which is another benefit of shadowing. When I shadowed a PT, I followed a physical therapist every Friday after work for a couple of hours each week for 6 months. And I learned a lot each week, and the PT was very comfortable with writing a letter of recommendation, because he knew that I was willing to work hard and to put the time in to complete physical therapy school. And most PTs, they'll offer to write a letter of recommendation because they know that it's generally a requirement for your application, but you should always ask if they would be willing to write a supportive letter of recommendation before you just submit their name in the PTCAS application site. If the PT hesitates or they try to avoid committing to writing a letter, it's probably because they don't really feel comfortable recommending you for PT school. And that usually doesn't happen that often, but if you get that vibe from multiple PTs, it might be a sign that you should consider a different career, or at least shadow a few other places to make sure that PT is really what you want to pursue. Okay, a few quick tips here to remember when shadowing. Number one, it's okay to ask the front desk if there's a dress code for the clinic. Usually physical therapists just wear slacks. They don't wear jeans in the clinic usually, and they often wear a polo or a dress shirt. And just think of business casual and wear comfortable shoes, because you're probably going to be standing for most of the day. And number two, if you're shadowing the entire day, make sure you bring a lunch with you. The PT may be able to sit down with you for lunch, but they may also have patients or notes to write depending on their schedule. And finally, when you're finished shadowing at a clinic, be sure to leave a good impression by writing a thank you note or a thank you card for the therapist. It's just a nice touch and a good habit to express gratitude to those who are helping you learn more about the field. And if you're excited to shadow a PT, give this video a like, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and let me know what questions you have below. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep making progress towards your goals, and I know you're going to be successful. I'll see you in the next video.